then I type.
Okay.
So I was trying to think about the timeline. It was hard to believe. It seems like it was a long time ago, but other times it seemed like it was just around the corner.
Yeah.
So I went and went to the Googles, and I typed in Orson Vallejo, and then I selected the news option, and that might be a good tool for you too, because there's 4 or 5 results that kind of
I've already
indicates.
done that.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good. Should I be pressing OK here? This meeting is being recorded. Should I be pressing OK? Let's find out. Too
Well,
late.
I think it well, it's recording.
Good.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
great. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's also parts of it have just been, I mean, some of the best parts have just been people talking about the importance of community. I mean, that's a real theme that goes through, but people, a lot of people talked about starting off in Colleen Cole's backyard, but people have talked a lot about your publicizing abilities and kicking it off and all of that. So, do you want to just start with your memories, or do you want me to ask
Yeah,
questions?
I do.
Okay.
I'd like to talk a little bit about, what it meant to me. And I'd also like to talk about, some of the things that still resonate with the community regarding this Orson project. And, I was thinking in terms of timing, in my opinion, we were very lucky because environmental justice, even though it obviously that term and that belief in environmental justice really, we were lucky in that it was a hot topic just as we were fighting the cement factory. Environmental justice to me, it means that if you live in a community that is already polluted, already suffering from the effects and the impact of industrial pollution, it's unfair for you to expect more pollution to be dumped into your community. Environmental justice doesn't mean that you can't pollute a minority neighborhood. It's much more than that. It means that you have to give people a break. If you are in a low income neighborhood or a minority neighborhood that already has the effects of pollution, you really deserve special consideration when another polluter is suggesting coming to your community. And that's what we found in South Vallejo. I had been in here in Vallejo only about 10 years. I was unaware that South Vallejo, where they wanted to put in the cement factory, I was unaware that it was already suffering from pollution. Even though we don't have a refinery in Vallejo, we are a refinery town because we are downwind of the refineries. And you take a look at South Vallejo with some of the highest rates of asthma in the state, and you think, wow, how are we possibly going to allow a cement factory with ships and trucks and enormous piles of toxic waste? How are we possibly going to allow this to happen in a community that is already suffering? And that is my my understanding of environmental justice. And that is, if you're already suffering from pollution, you deserve special consideration if a new project that's going to harm your community is suggested or proposed.
Yeah.
So it Orsum, they came to us saying, well, it's going to pollute. They were out, they were upfront about it. It's going to pollute. However, or says Orsum, the pollution will be within acceptable limits. So we had to point out to them that it's a cumulative effect. When you add more to an already bad situation, then it is no longer acceptable.
How did you first find out about the proposed cement plant?
Well, and the way I found out about it is actually one of the reasons I got so angry about it. I am very interested in local newspapers, regional newspapers, uh, blogs and podcasts, things going on about the community or our area. And I was looking for the first time, I was looking at a business publication. Um, and in this business publication, it's focused on the North Bay. And I was looking at this business publication, and there was an article about a cement plant or a green mill, which is something else I want to speak about, that this project had already been approved. Now, I at the time didn't know much about city politics or city councils or any type of environmental impact reports. I didn't know anything about that. But to me, that struck me as, whoa, hold on a minute. What do you mean this project has already been approved? And the article presented it as good news. Good news, Vallejo. You're getting a mill. You're getting a mill. Well, that rubbed me the wrong way because I hadn't remembered hearing anything about it. And it just smacked me as kind of is kind of greenwashing, I guess,
Yeah.
because who had heard of this thing and how is this good news? And that initial photograph of those business people standing there posing for a photograph after seeing a presentation by this cement company from Texas, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I started asking some people about it. And I asked, luckily, I asked the right people. I asked the same people who had fought the natural gas, the LNG plant. I asked those same people, and they said, no, we haven't heard anything about this. And then things got rolling from there. And I have a little bit of advice for anybody who wants to stop a project, anybody who wants to get involved with their community and protect their community from outside corporate polluters. And that advice would be one, go for it, of course. But two, don't let your opponents name their project. For example, Orsum they wanted to call it a green mill, the Vallejo Green Mill. But we wanted to call it what it really is, a cement factory. And boy, did we rub them the wrong way. They spent a lot of time trying to convince people that it was a green mill, a green mill. Vallejo's getting a green mill. Vallejo's going to be other communities are going to admire Vallejo's forward thinking by allowing a green mill on its waterfront. And we said, bull, it's a cement factory. Let's call it what it is. And I would say to anybody in your community, if somebody comes in and says, we're going to put in a green mill, or we're going to put in, a job generator, don't let your opponent call it what they want to call it. You call it what you think it really is, and you stick with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I want to do this, I mean, this project, it needs to be documented. It was just it was an incredible effort. So much was put into it. So it needs to be documented, but there's a lot that people can learn. And yeah, I appreciate you putting things that way, because that's one of the reasons we need to do this. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
You
it's
know,
just huge. Yeah.
something else was very important, and it kind of goes along with not letting your opponent greenwash you, is I had never in my life looked at an environmental impact report, never looked at one. And I would say it's possible I'd never even really heard of one. But we all did, we secured hard copies of the environmental impact report. And we got together as a group and said, okay, Peter, you take page 1 through 80. Next person take page 81 through 210. We divvied it up. We divvied up the environmental impact report. It's a huge document, well over 1,000 pages. We divvied it up, and the next day we came back, and people were saying, "Did you see what's on page 410? Oh my God, 200 trucks a day. Did you see what's on page 806? 70 tons of dust released a year." So we kind of came together and said, there's a lot of stuff in this environmental impact report that we don't think the cement factory thought we were even going to, I don't think they thought we were even going to look at it. It was a very sloppy report. And and I want to point something out, that when you call them out on these details, in our case, they were very, very shockingly unprepared to address these issues that we uncovered in the report. For example, they said, well, it's only 200 trucks a day. But then when we got thinking about it, that's a one-way street. So isn't it really 400 trucks a day? That's 200 in, 200 out, that kind of thing. And they were so unprepared for that type of perspective that we brought to their very poorly done document. There were cases in that document where they referred to Vallejo being in Sonoma County, numerous cases. There were times where the addresses were wrong. It was a very sloppy document, and to me, I believe that's related to exactly how this project was presented to us. It was a rush job. They rushed through this environmental impact report. It looked like it was cut and paste from other reports. They thought it was a done deal. They thought it was a slam dunk and a done deal. How they got that impression, that's a whole other story. But they thought it was a done deal, and they didn't even take the time to accurately document the impacts that the cement factory would have on South Vallejo.
Well, I think they don't do stuff like that because, I mean, they do it that way because it works for them. They can get away with it a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
they're trying to put the same project in the port of Los Angeles. And the same issues are coming back up, that the environmental impact report, the draft environmental impact report, is a sloppy document. So that is, I don't know if they just don't know how to do it correctly, or if it is an indication of their disdain for the community that they're going to impact.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is great because I've heard different people have given different descriptions of the report. And so, like, again, I mean, I I thought that I could do it. It's just not acceptable to really make my project be sort of the little home movie thing. That's just clips, and there's other people that that are filmmakers, and so hopefully this will just keep expanding and people can use this material. But yeah, I mean, just some like simple little edits of the descriptions of the report is great, you know. I mean, yeah, Colleen said she called it the book club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting. You know what else was, I think, pivotal for us was the fact that this type of project, grinding slag, which is a byproduct of the steel industry, grinding up slag and blending it with cement. This actually had happened down by Santa Cruz in the cement facility called Davenport, in a community called Davenport. I think for almost 100 years they had a cement factory in Davenport, and then they decided to try this blending of slag, which is, it's horrible stuff. It's from the steel industry. It's full of chromium-6, which may ring a bell as anyone who recalls the Aaron Brockovich story. They tried this in Davenport. They tried to bring in slag and, as a new product, an exciting new product, blend it into their cement. And a very short period of time, chromium-6 showed up at the elementary school, in the water at the elementary school, and at the fire station. So they knew that this stuff cannot be contained. I actually met with Erin Brockovich, and she was very inspirational. And she basically said, "Hell no, it's not going to happen. You can do it. You can stop it."
Oh, wow. That is because, you know, I mean, I moved here I moved in the you know, and I started, you know, in 2016. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, does Vallejo have an Aaron Brockovich? Or I think it was a commute. It was a collective Aaron Brockovich. That is
Yeah, it
cool.
was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, another important part of this struggle was that we needed to raise awareness, not only in Vallejo, which we did, of course, through the yard signs and um, the press coverage that we got in the Times Herald, but from my recollection, when it came down to crucial votes, when either the planning commission voted, so many citizens showed up and signed up for 3 minutes to speak about this, that they had to split the meeting into two meetings. There were well over 100 citizens who showed up and spoke out. And I would say of those 100, there were either none or one person who spoke in favor of it. It was a crazy situation. I mean, so many people were against it, and we're saying, why? Wait a minute. The people of Vallejo don't want this. Why is the city council continuing to move it forward in frightening ways, putting it up for a vote? Well, shall we take it to the next step? And we had this problem with 4 of our city council members were in favor of the project. And even though we met with them, even though people would go and meet with them and sit down and show them the data, show them where the 70 tons of particulate matter a year would would be released, at the facility, a third of a mile from an elementary school. Even though they had the data, they kept moving this project forward. I do not like accusations of corruption. I think accusations of corruptions are an easy thing to throw out. Ah, they're
Yeah.
corrupt.
Yeah.
And there was no proof of corruption. But it is so frustrating to see why a council member who you just met with the week before and pointed out 10 or 15 problems with this project would then go ahead and vote to move the project forward. It was very frustrating. You know, Anna, we had an opportunity where the president of the cement factory, he was a very poor choice for Vallejo. He came and spoke in Vallejo, but what he had was a swagger about him. This same done deal attitude. It's a done deal attitude. And he came and spoke at a Baptist church here in Vallejo. And this would be a church that would be the closest one to the facility. And he came and spoke at that church, and there was no one who felt comfortable with him. He basically was saying, it's a done deal, get over it, but there's going to be benefits. We're going to bring jobs. It's worth the pollution. We're going to bring jobs. And at one point, this spokesperson lost his temper and he yelled out, I get it. I get it. You don't want it, is what he said to the audience. You don't want it. But I'll tell you who does want it. And then he went ahead and named 3 of our city council members. Now, someone in the audience, a little old lady with a poker face, raised her hand and said, are there minutes from those meetings? And he says, no, we just meet casually. There's no need to take minutes. And again, it's an example of the ignorance. This guy, the head of the cement factory, coming to Vallejo to, coming to Vallejo to, present this project to everyone. He wasn't even aware that you can't meet with city council members in private in this type of thing. So again, it just shows their lack of preparation, their lack of understanding. On a site tour, he didn't even know that Grace Patterson Elementary School was just over the hill. He was surprised. So again, they want to come to a community. They want to bring a cement factory. They want to bring jobs, but they don't even know anything about the people that they're going to impact. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And there is one thing I'd like to say. It got worse and worse and worse, but it never got ugly. I don't think there was a single curse word ever uttered. There was no horrible graffiti. It never got ugly, which I think is a testament to the people of Vallejo, not only their class and style, but also their confidence. They knew this project was wrong. They knew that this cement factory spokesperson was out thunked. He just didn't have it. And they knew that the facts and the truth would come to the top. And it made me very, very proud to be part of the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, the word I've just heard over and over is disrespect. That, people
Yeah.
people, they didn't even think about the fact that this is a community. There's people here. And
No, they didn't. They didn't. And I'll tell you, as soon as we got somebody with a drone and that person flew that drone over the proposed cement factory site, and you could see how close homes were, how close Grace Patterson Elementary School as soon as we got an overhead view of it, you couldn't really tell from the waterfront because of the hills and the trees. But boy, when we saw what it looked like from overhead, there was an apartment complex. It's still there. The apartment complex, it would have been at eye level to their smokestack. Can you imagine? Eye level to a smokestack. How did this project even get considered? Who were these people that came in from Ireland and Texas and said, "Good news, Vallejo, you're getting a green mill"? Who are these people?
Well,
Did they
yeah, it's
not
like,
spend
yeah,
any time ahead of time?
yeah. It's like, here, have some scraps from our table, Vallejo, and say thank you. I mean,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Bob talked about visiting a friend. It's like you said about the pollution that's already there. I mean, he talked about visiting a friend and all the dust and everything that was in their backyard. I mean, pollutants without the cement factory. And there were already high asthma rates in the South Vallejo community.
Some of the highest in the state.
Yeah, yeah.
Pat Dodson, she is a South Vallejo resident.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She was, I would say, a warrior for us. She spent a lot of time going door to door in her own community, her own neighborhood. And she reported back, it was her impression that about 1 out of 3 homes that she went to pass out flyers and talk to neighbors, 1 out of 3 homes had someone who was already sick. They had a family member who was suffering from cancer or asthma or something else. And she said about 1 out of 3. So South Vallejo, in some regards, is suffering quietly. But in other ways, South Vallejo is vocal, and they turn out, they come out, they are trying to let it be known that they are a community under siege. LaDonna Williams did so much for us by adding her voice and her experience as a woman of color. Her hell no attitude was infectious. And she is another person who went out on her own to meet with community members and just find out exactly what's going on. I don't think anyone bought the nonsense that this was going to bring a lot of jobs. Early on in the process, when there was a community meeting, when the cement factory said, come and meet us, come and greet us, their PowerPoint presentation, I remember the first slide of their PowerPoint presentation was a photograph of a little boy with a butterfly on his finger. And it was the green mill. The green mill was going to change Vallejo. And in this meeting, this guy bragged that the mill is primarily automated, that he bragged that 2 or 3 people could run the whole mill. Then a couple months down the road, he's saying 300 jobs, 300 jobs. They were so unprepared. I don't know if anybody can be prepared for Vallejo's audience, but they were so unprepared. They never expected it. They never expected
A
the
little
opposition
boy
they
with a
got.
butterfly. That sounds like LBJ's 1964 ad.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was. I spoke at the Solano County Board of Realtors. I spoke at their luncheon. I also spoke at the Rotary Club, the Lions. I spoke at 6 or 7 different neighborhood associations. I spoke at the ILWU and the SEIU unions. I spoke anywhere where I was invited, I went. And I would go with presentation materials. I would go with slides and posters, and at the Chamber of Commerce, when I went, the opposition, the cement factory, came with nothing. He just showed up, nothing. He just showed up. I showed up with handouts and posters and bumper stickers and flyers, and he showed up with nothing. Again, somehow they got it in their head that this was a done deal. But boy, it sure wasn't a done deal. And beating the cement factory is a great sense of satisfaction. But also sticking it to somebody who comes unprepared, there's a certain level of satisfaction in that as
Oh,
well.
it feels great. Yeah, it's a great feeling. And yeah, I mean, we have I recorded Brenda Crawford about 2 years ago, so I went back to her interview, and there's so much great stuff in there, and picked out the cement plant stuff to put in this project. And she sounds so great. She's like, yeah, and yeah, if those people had any smarts, again, they'd want to be listened. I mean, people think they can do what they want. I mean,
They sure do.
that's entitlement. You know, I mean, it's not even thinking, it's this whole idea of, of being so focused on yourself, so turned inward and what you want, that you're not even conscious of other people.
It
Yeah.
was also important that we use the press to get the word out. Of course, we had our own website, but we used the press. Articles about our struggle appeared in local newspapers, the San Francisco newspaper, of course, NPR. We also received great coverage in a national publication, the Huffington Post.
Mhm.
We also took it right to the source, and the Irish Times, which is the Irish version of the New York Times, the Irish Times wrote about us 5 times. And
Look for those
we
articles.
also
Yeah.
we took it a step further in that we went to industry publications, Cement World, Cement Today, and we got articles written about our struggle in those industry publications. Now, why do you do that? Well, because that company based out of Ireland, they have shareholders, and they have suppliers, and they have customers. And when they read in the Irish Times or they read in Cement World magazine about the injustices that they're suggesting for this small community on the in Northern California, that makes their customers, their shareholders, their investors, it makes them wonder, what is this company doing? So it's important to reach out to their decision makers too. Something else that we did something else that was done that I really liked is we were able to sniff around a little bit and find some email addresses of the parent company's leaders. And then we were able to email them directly, which I think was effective as well, because that comes up in their meetings when
Yeah.
they're asking for a status report on their latest U.S. project, and someone brings up, well, I read in the Irish Times, or I read in Cement World that this project is not suited. That comes up in meetings, but I have no idea. I really have no idea um, what kind of pressure they felt in Ireland. But I know we certainly reached out to the biggest Irish audience we could find.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I have contacted LaDonna Williams and not heard back. I'll try and find some different contact information for her. And yeah, I know Pat Dodson. I remember her, so I'll reach out to her as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, yeah, those would be. Yeah, and then Paula told me about the slag demonstration at the farmers market. And yeah, I've heard about some of the demonstrations, and there's photos of them. And I also, I haven't heard back from Kay Flavel, but I mean the children were involved, isn't that correct? There were
We did.
projects there were projects for right in the community, I think.
We gave a great presentation, a roundtable, a Q&A at Grace Patterson School. And the president of the cement factory showed up with one of his lackeys. And I believe he asked one question. And when he saw that we were prepared to answer his question and deflate his logic, he quietly stood up and left the meeting.
Oh my God. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
When I moved to Vallejo, and I had already been here a few years, not many, but a few years. And I'd managed to make a couple of friends, but I'll tell you, fighting and beating this cement factory is the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I quadrupled my circle of friends. I gained a new knowledge about environmental justice. I gained a new knowledge about the struggles and the successes of people in my community. I often say it, and I'll say it again. You meet the nicest people when a cement factory threatens to come to town.
Yeah.
Just being a part of this struggle changed my life then and changes my life to this day. I would say that at least once a month, someone will stop me on the sidewalk and say, "Hey, we really stuck it to him, didn't we?" I'm like, "Yeah, we really did. We really stuck it to him."
Wow. Yeah, and that's another theme that's really come up in these recordings. And yeah, I mean, there's an element, people talk about like, yeah, we did it. And then there's also just emotion. I mean, some of this, I mean, but some of it just almost made me feel teary-eyed when people talk about community and friendship. It's just, this story is about so many things. It's specific and it's also universal about people coming together.
And it was pointed out to me that I would benefit from having more experience with the African American community. It was pointed out to me that I didn't really know much about the community, the African American community, the Black community. And it was suggested to me that I join the NAACP. I joined the NAACP the next day. And then the following week, I joined Temple Emmanuel Baptist Church in South Vallejo. So being able to say to yourself, wow, I know pollution is wrong, but actually making steps to learn more about the community that it would be affecting, that was kind of a watershed moment for me. I just thought, well, yeah, there's no way this community is going to be in favor of this thing. but I didn't really know the people who lived there until I went out there and made myself part of their community at a certain level, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
But
what, yeah.
it was a crucial, I think it was a crucial moment for me in fighting this project, but also a moment in my own personal evolution.
Mhm.
And I cannot say that I've walked a mile in their shoes, but I can certainly say that I've taken a few steps in their shoes.
Yeah.
And that was a personal, that was some personal growth for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I mean, the criticism that people will make that about environmental movements is a lack of diversity, and you took steps about that, and people want to be, we need to talk, people need to talk to each other. People don't like having their communities just, people don't want to hear about what's bad from their, people want to have talk with you.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. It was a great experience. I'm so grateful to the people who already had the experience from fighting LNG, from fighting that earlier project. It's just, I had no idea of how complicated a opposition like this was. And I'm so grateful to these people and to this day. I mean, it's just, I have this group of friends with something in common,
Yeah.
and that is that we fought the cement factory, and we brought it to the people, and we raised awareness. And I think the city as a whole definitely won. You never saw a single yes cement factory sign. Never. You never
No,
saw a single
no.
yes cement factory sign.
Yeah.
You'd get the occasional person writing a letter to the editor, but quite often they were just parroting what the cement factory had said. They spent so much money, the flyers, they spent so much money, and it was just, uh, I can't even believe they're trying it again in LA after losing, so decisively in Vallejo. I
Well,
can't even believe they're trying it again.
well, LA is loaded with money, and yeah, there must be some, yeah, there must be, I don't even know. Again, I mean, I'm not wild about conspiracy theories either, but you know, I mean, it's no problem for them to get attorneys, and so yeah. Well, didn't they're trying to set something up in Texas too. That's what Bob said.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think in many ways, we were kind. We uncovered a lot of dirt, so to speak. We uncovered a lot of stuff that we never really came forward with. We never got personal in our attacks.
Mhm.
And I'm proud of that.
Yes,
You
that
know,
is something to be proud of.
yeah, yeah. But I will say something that always struck me is that when I took a look at the resume of cement facilities where the Orsom bigwigs had worked, every single one of those had been hit with fines for industrial violations. So how would we possibly expect that there would not be environmental violations in Vallejo, where every other place where the Orsom execs had been involved with had received environmental violations? And we never brought that forward. We never said, hey, what about the XYZ facility? Didn't you receive a huge violation there? We never brought that forward. And I don't know. I think it's a testament to our confidence. I'm
Yeah,
not saying we knew we were going to win, not at all. We panicked a
yeah,
bunch of times, but we knew that if we played it straight and we stuck to the facts, that we had a real good shot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, just so many things you're saying. Um, I mean, this, well, I mean, we're gonna keep putting the word out there. I mean, this is like, I mean, I have a little video that's kind of like something I made for my face, I mean, I have like photos in there and clips and stuff, but I mean, the more I've been doing it, I mean, it needs to, I mean, I am an archivist. That's what it needs to be. But, I mean, I will fool around with it a little bit more just to get, there's just been so many people talking about the same things in their own way and similar themes and different areas. And yeah, that's something I've heard from other people. Other people have talked about the friends they made. And yeah, it's just amazing. Somebody really I mean, it needs to be a documentary, but it so needs to be a biopic too. I mean, a film too. Oh my God, we need to start thinking who's going to play you.
Well, I'll play me.
Well, why not? Hey, you stopped a cement plant, you may as well step into Hollywood.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've heard different. I asked Bob if there was stuff he felt like he couldn't say, and he said there were closed meetings, and he wasn't gonna violate the charter. Then he's like, wait, there might be a statute of limitations. So about the closed.
Oh, that's great. I would love to see some of this stuff unsealed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Bob said well, Sampayan and McConnell. I mean, and yeah, yeah,
And Katie Meisner.
yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine the heartbreak when they found out that Pippin Dew, Verda Religa, Hermes Sunga, and Jess Melgapo had been meeting in secret? Didn't even tell them. These are 4 city council members, have been meeting in secret with the cement factory for months and didn't even tell their fellow council members, didn't even tell them. They kept it a secret. Can you imagine the sense of betrayal? Now, to Pippin Dew's credit, she apologized.
Mhm.
Pippin Dew apologized for meeting in secret, for keeping the secret away from her fellow council members. But the others never apologized. And even worse, they lied about it. I was not there, said Roz Verderliga. I was not there. Well, you were there, Roz. You're lying. Jess Melgapo. It was never about the cement factory. Well, it was, Jess. You're lying. And they didn't just lie to us. They also lied. They also lied to different commissions, Congress people, representatives. They positioned the cement factory as a done deal. This is a done deal, and it wasn't. It was a lie. And you take a look at Roz Verderliga, city council member. I have a certain amount of respect for Roz and the work that she did, but she stood up in front of that at the council. She stood up in front of a packed house and said, there will be no pollution. There is no discharge to the environment. There is no negative impact to the environment. How could she do that? And the chorus of shame, shame, shame from the audience directed toward the dais, you would think that she would have recused herself, but she didn't. She continued to promote the lie. What is the motivation there?
That's
How
the
can you
question.
do that?
Yeah.
How can you be faced? And you know something? Jess Malgapo, when he ran for re-election, lost. Pippin Dew, when she ran for re-election, barely squeaked by. So I think the important thing is to not to let people forget that despite all of the public opposition, these people, some people on the council still promoted this horrible, horrible project and never really explained to us why they did. There was no apology from the cement factory for lying. When the attorney general caught them lying, or at the very least, misleading the public with their data, there was no apology. Why wouldn't the cement factory who said, we're here for Vallejo, we want to make Vallejo a better place, when they were caught lying about the pollution, why didn't they apologize? That bothers me to this day.
Yeah, I sent Pippin a message asking if she'd talk to me for this project. Oh, no harm in asking. So yeah,
Well, I'm still, Pippin, God bless her, to her credit, she did apologize
yeah,
for the secret meetings,
yeah.
for being participating in those secret meetings. And that goes a long way with me.
Me too.
But we still to this day don't know why, when faced with all of the data, all of the negative impacts, why some members of the city council continue to support it. We still don't know why. There's theories, but none of them has ever said, well, I supported it for this, or I felt that the pollution was not as bad, or I felt it was so desperate for Vallejo that we had to grasp at straws, take anything we could take. Those are examples of excuses that I wouldn't necessarily like, but I would have liked to have heard some. And I never heard anything from anybody why they continued to let this project go on for years. Why is that facility still out there operating with another company without a permit? Why? There's a company out there right now, VMT.
Yeah.
They're operating some type of mysterious heavy equipment truck thing going on out there. No permit. I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand. I guess when it comes to the workings of a city government in this regard, I guess I'm naive. But I do know that Vallejo is open for business. We're open for the right business.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
are not low hanging fruit for corporate polluters anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that Pippin's running for mayor, I'm sure people are going to be asking her. I mean,
I hope so. No one seemed to ask Roz for her run for Senate. No one
that's
seemed
true.
to ask Roz about the cement factory.
Yeah.
Have people forgotten?
Well, plenty of people haven't. Well, with California Forever, I mean, that's another reason I feel like it's so important to get some of this out there, because some of this information, okay, Vallejo, look what Vallejo did for this, and people can feel like it can't make any difference. So, yeah.
Anna, we didn't really talk about the specter or the fear of coal, but this is another topic, perhaps for another day.
Mhm.
But the this fear of coal is very real. The city of Vallejo could possibly make the same mistake that the city of Richmond made, in that the city of Richmond, they were asleep, and all of a sudden the coal trains rolled into town. And when they said, no, 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 we don't want coal, we're going to ban coal, they said, it's too late. And it could happen here in Vallejo too. We don't want a coal terminal. We don't want a coal port. After numerous years, the city of Richmond was finally able to get their coal terminal closed, but it will still be up and running for a few more years. So who's next? Where is the next destination for coal? When they lose their city of Richmond facility, where are they going to look next? And if we don't stop coal before the trains roll, we'll have no ability to do it.
I didn't
So
think there were still coal mines. I don't know.
the coal is being shipped from other states. I'm not exactly sure if all of these states are involved, but I believe it's Wyoming and Utah and Colorado and Arizona. This coal is sent to China. So it has to be shipped. It's shipped by rail to the West Coast, and then obviously it's sent overseas to China. So they've lost a coal facility in Richmond.
Mm.
Where are they going to come next? And are we going to have another fight on our hands? We need to stop coal before it starts, because once it starts, then it's harder to stop and it takes longer to stop. So I know this is a little bit off topic,
No, it's not.
but we need to take a look at what's next. I
Yeah.
mean, can we really rest on our laurels and really say that Vallejo is going to be a clean community? Vallejo is going to be immune from being in the crosshairs of the next corporate polluter? Can we really say that? I'd like to be able to say it. I'd like to be able to say that they've learned their lesson, but I'm afraid that we have another battle looming. I'm afraid coal is on the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't, I mean, people don't change. Companies don't change, I mean, and the arrogance of industry titans, they think they're different. They each think their program or what they want is different than everyone else's.
Yes, of course. And
Yeah.
what made me think of it is you bringing up California Forever.
Yeah.
Look at the arrogance there.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, we don't care if you want it or not. We're going to put it up for a vote, and we're going to use our money to influence enough people to let it pass, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
The problem with that project is, the opposition needs a goal. It was a lot more clear, like with the cement plant, it's like, no, we don't want it here, but they've purchased that land. I mean, that's what makes me real nervous about this. Like, okay, how can, like, honestly, if they've purchased all that land, how can they not do something with it? I mean, what can we ask for, I guess,
well,
so, yeah.
there's another Fresh Air Vallejo type of organization that'll be coming and rising to the top.
Yes.
And it's my hope that they fight and defeat the California Forever.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, to me, that just seems pretty powerful. I mean, just even more powerful, because they can't just, are they going to just give the land away or whatever? Or that's, I don't know. I mean, I think that I think the possibility of looking at it, I think it could benefit communities if it was done the right way. It just makes me, I mean, what are
Well,
people,
they made the same mistake that the cement factory made, right?
except the
Presenting it
cement
as a
plant,
done deal. It's a done deal.
it's true, but the cement, I mean, the cement plant, it wasn't totally true. I mean, they're just trying to scare people, but these people have the land already. And that's just what makes me real nervous. I mean, just, you know, hey, if I bought a land, I mean, what are they gonna do with it? It's hard for me to picture why they could just, how anybody could feasibly let it sit there. So, you know, I mean, these are like questions. I mean, these are questions and things I'll be finding out, hopefully getting involved with, but you know, you need a goal in advocacy. You need to be fighting for something. You need to have something you want. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm from, you know, I did look at that project in the first place because I'm from Seattle, what I call the town of nice millionaires. And there certainly is, I mean, you know, between the tech money, the bio, you know, the biotech money and the rock stars, there is more of a spirit. There is environmental awareness and progressive movement. So I was, you know, there's some folks there that I would trust, that I think it would be great if they bought a bunch of land, because they would set up, there would be progressive goals. So I was ready to look at this. And then I looked at the people involved and I'm like, hell no. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it was just amazing to me to move here from, I mean, now, I mean, Seattle has the same, like, sort of industrial revolution thing going on now with massive wealth, massive poverty, but there's just so many projects that were, you know, okay, let's make a library, let's make a symphony hall, and let's do this, because they were right there, those millionaire. And then the political candidates bomb in there, you know, they spend like a couple hours, pick up a bunch of money, and then go back over to the rest of the country, um, to use it to convince people, basically. I mean, you know, the country owes a lot to Seattle for funding Obama and all. Yeah, it's just wild. So then when I moved here, I was like, wow, I mean, there's streets here that I think there's streets here that are like 100 years old. It was like, wow, this place is I mean, I love the community here. I love getting involved here
Me too.
because, yeah, go ahead.
So I got to tell you something funny,
Yeah.
and then I have to go.
Okay.
In terms of California forever,
Yeah.
walk by their office and look in their window. Their ficus tree is dying. So this is this billions of dollars effort to bring this amazing utopia to this agricultural area, and they can't even keep a ficus tree in their office alive.
Oh my God.
Yep.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Yeah, we can't even keep you know, so much for the littles or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Peter. This is amazing. And let's keep in touch, because there's just this material it's for a lot of different things. I mean, it will
Cool.
be for professional filmmakers, but you know, it's going to be a museum archive and all sorts of
I
stuff.
love it. You're
Yeah.
talking to the right people. Colleen Cole. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And you know, another person is Don Osborne.
Oh yeah, he's like, I bugged Don for years to do this, but yeah, he's gonna speak at the end of the month. He's too busy this month.
And you
Yeah.
really need to.
Yeah.
LaDonna Williams is great, but you really need Pat Dodson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got, okay, Pat, LaDonna, and then, yeah, because there's people I've contacted on Facebook that don't, but yeah, definitely, those two ladies I will definitely be trying to get, and, you know,
Yep.
Pat's here, so, as far as I know. So, cool. Okay, well, I'll keep you posted on what's going on.
Yeah. Anytime.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, you have a good day. Thank
You
you.
too. Bye.
Bye.